Application security is something that we all need to take seriously, especially when you create small services that might allow you to do your job faster, or small simple things like, hey, converting even Markdown code into HTML or to a PDF file. So in this video, I want to showcase a challenge from the CSAW Capture the Flag competition qualifiers that was just simply that. Converting Markdown into a PDF, and how we might be able to explore some vulnerabilities and ultimately compromise it. Let's dive in. Before we dive into the video, here is a quick note from today's sponsor. There are so many vulnerabilities out there, like prototype pollution, SQL injection, remote code execution, and more. They're fun to play with in CTF challenges, pen testing, and ethical hacking, but they're not so fun when they're in your own applications. And that is where Snyk comes in. Snyk automatically scans your code, dependencies, containers, and config files, finding and fixing vulnerabilities in real time. Here's how easy it is with Snyk. You can sign up for free with my link below, import your repositories, and there, Snyk just finds your vulnerabilities. And it's not just looking for old deprecated libraries. Snyk literally found a serious command injection vulnerability in a project of mine. So all I have to do is fix it with a single click. Snyk will open up fixing pull requests so you can just merge them into your repository and move on. And it does this all from your existing tools, IDEs, the command line, repos, pipelines, Docker Hub, and so many more. And you can see for yourself. Check it out and find out if there are any vulnerabilities affecting your projects. It's all totally free, and you can sign up using my link, snyk.co/John Hammond. Huge thanks to Snyk for sponsoring this video. So this challenge is in their web category. The challenge was called My Little Website for 148 points at the time of recording. This is after the game has concluded, so there are about 204 solves up here. And it says, I'm new to programming, and I made this simple PDF creator website. Hopefully it is secure enough. So we have this link. We can go ahead and open that up in a new tab. And this is it. Enter Markdown code here. And that's all you need to do. You simply enter whatever you would like to go ahead and be converted. Once you hit the submit button, it will go ahead and spit out a PDF. And that's exactly what I'm looking at right here, just a simple PDF that includes the text. Now, bear in mind, this is supposed to render Markdown. So if I go ahead and put this in sort of a header tag, like one of those larger, hey, H1 or H2 or H3 or H4, by adding these, octothorpe, pound symbol, hashtag, whatever the heck you want to call them, we could see that rendered out. Now it's a much larger text. Please subscribe. Good enough. So what could we do to take advantage of this? This is a web challenge, of course, so we could go ahead and view the source code. I hit Control-U on my keyboard. However, you could right-click and view page source. Now, it is just bare-bone basic HTML. There's not a whole lot happening here. Looks like there's a form to go ahead and submit with a post method including the data that you wanted to include, and a simple text area and a submit button. Nothing else available to me, though. If I go ahead and open the network tools or the developer tools open in Firefox in my web browser, if I go ahead and reload this page with the network tab listening, I might be able to access this. I'll turn off my filter. I think I'm currently looking at WebSockets. Hitting the all section shows me, hey, this is retrieving the website. There aren't any special headers that return back from this that kind of clue me in as to what I might be looking at. No cookies, nothing here, but this is the page. So I don't exactly know what I'm up against. I got to admit, we could start to kind of poke around and explore and test things. If it is rendering Markdown, we could very well be able to just simply add HTML, I suppose, right? Could I add a bold tag to please subscribe? And then let's do another, I guess, some like italics. I as the HTML element there. And let's see if that renders. Ooh. Looks like it does, in fact. Please subscribe in bold and please subscribe in italic. So we might be able to actually return something else with that. Like, could we actually run a simple script? Could I do like a console.log? Please subscribe. Could I try and run JavaScript rendered out this way? If I submit this, well, I suppose that's not really going to help me much. Ooh, there's an interesting thing. In the console output, I see a PDF and then CBFD, seemingly a hash, 1.4 Skya PDF M106 Chromium PDF JS. Maybe that clues me in as to what I'm looking at. This is viewer.js. Ooh, okay. Some apparent source code that we might be able to see present in the debugger. Are these sources that I might be able to read? Yeah, okay. Build pdf.js. This might just be how it naturally displays things within PDFs in your browser, though. That probably isn't all that helpful. Anyway, it didn't show me my please subscribe within the console. But let's try something else. Let's do like a simple alert. Let's see if that will render here. Again, because this is like on the server side processing and recreating this markdown into a PDF, maybe we've caused a pop-up on the back end, but we won't be able to see that. In fact, it's not even going to return the page for us. Yeah, connections reset because it just took too long to load. Okay. I don't know. We could do some other things. We could try to bring document location to like example.com. Will that drive us there? Ooh, what the heck? That actually just straight up rendered it like within the PDF itself. Kind of interesting. So we know we can, in fact, execute JavaScript and we can do what we might like here. In fact, we might be able to just steal cookies or do some potential things. But what damage could we do with this? Could we like load specific files maybe? Let me look for file, etc. hosts. Presumably being on a Linux machine. Does that render that for us? No. Okay. I don't know if we're on a Linux machine or not, but we can assume that. What if I were to do some Googling? Let's do Markdown to PDF Vulnerabilities. Is there some special syntax or things that we could use? Oh, Sneak has some stuff. Super cool. Markdown PDF Vulnerabilities, MD2 PDF in the Sneak Vulnerability Database. Known vulnerabilities in the Markdown PDF package. This has directory traversal, seemingly. Is there any info on it? Not quite yet, just showcasing severities. How about this other one? The other tab that we have open here. Remote code execution. Ooh, I'm down for that. If I click on that, does that tell me? Oh, okay. Oh, perfect. Yeah. This looks like it could be what I need here. What I guess I needed to check out directory traversal here to actually even see this. How does this work? Oh, they're just using like a specific URL to go to that. I don't think that's exactly what we're working with here because it's literally embedded in the code. This uses a proof of concept for MD to PDF as a command line tool. But again, we don't know for sure if this is what we are up against. But we could try this payload. This gives us some JavaScript code. Require MD to PDF var payload equals all this. And that has new lines in here. This requires a child process to execute code and slap it in. And then RCE. Now this has new lines. Since I'm going to end up entering this into a real thing, I'm going to open up a text editor just so I can play with that. We know that I'm assuming this is supposed to be a new line. And then we do that. Is that all it's supposed to do? Question is, we're not going to be able to read this temp RCE file because we haven't figured out how to do local file inclusion if this were to even work. So let's enter a new script here, though. Or I guess, presumably that is language for this code. Right? We don't need the script tags. It just knows to use JavaScript right here. Would that work? RCE. I don't know if you saw that at the top here. So did that actually run it? There are no errors. What if we tried like a sleep command? That's probably the easiest way to kind of know whether or not we are successfully executing this, being blind to what this might be executing. Unless we could just probably maybe even see that output. Like if I run ID on its own, is that going to just show in the response? No. All right, so let's try that sleep strategy. Let's do sleep 5. Ooh. That has taken some time to come back. 5 seconds. Okay, so that is theoretically code execution, right? What do? I mean, we could just try to get a shell. Like, that might be super duper easy. Am I, like, cruising through this way too quick? Way too quick. Way too quack. I was trying to say fast. Is there more that I need to, like, learn here? But, like, this payload seems to work. Sneak was just telling us how to do it. So let me note here, if you do want to do any other exploring, what you could check out is Hacktricks. You could do some PDF injection or server-side cross-site scripting shenanigans. And this is all documented reference here as to what you might be able to do for other libraries that could be vulnerable like this. PDF lib, I don't know if there are other options. I think the server-side one on the other page would be more worthwhile to read. Yeah, so here's some of these payloads that you could try and throw in here. And this is kind of what we were exploring. Seeing whether or not we could write stuff, that would be worth using. So let me submit this to see if document.write test will even render. Or have I broke this thing now that I'm going to have to sleep 5 times? Or sleep for 5 seconds every time I want to see this render. Did I break it? I might have just straight up broke it. Or this payload is bad. It's kind of finicky. We could try a document write JSON stringify. Maybe just can't load images. Let's try that. Ooh. Okay. That gives us a little bit more. Now we've got seemingly localhost on a port. So window.location, that we can at least use document.write as we did previously. But honestly, we don't need to do too much of this because, like, you know at this point, okay, we've already found some remote code execution. What I do want to showcase here, though, is if you were to end up being able to retrieve the source code. Because what we've just done with that previous payload, you can see how I'm rendering out, okay, potentially the contents of this service, like looking and rendering at whatever localhost might have been. If I actually amp up this, like, oh, let's make a width 100 pixels and let's make the height, 1,000 pixels. I should have said 1,000 earlier. If we get a bigger iframe, we might be able to read this a little bit more. So now you can see all the files that are present here because whatever directory indexing is allowing and enabling us to be able to view these. So if I try to go to that, it won't display because it's trying to link me to literally my own localhost. But if we use that payload as we slap stuff into an iframe, loading our window location locally according to the application, what we could do is end up saying, hey, let's check out index.js relative to this application, right? So now I go ahead and submit this. Look at that. Now we've got the source code. I can see, hey, we're using the Express engine in Node. We're using that MD to PDF library that we were just reading about on Sneak's vulnerability database. And we can see how this thing works. It's using extended URL encoding. It has some get and post handlers. Get to just go ahead and retrieve, okay, the template that we're sending for the HTML. And then what we're doing when we submit data here, we end up using the string of Markdown that's just simply passed by the body's request argument, the HTTP here. And then we do some weird shenanigans. Okay, checking if you're cruising into AWS and Amazon. That's a little fascinating. But ultimately, we end up running await MD to PDF. And I think, looking back at what Sneak was telling us is vulnerable here, that's exactly the same code. You're requiring this, and they use await MD to PDF content of the payload. They spit it out into a temporary file like output, but ultimately, we're going to end up rendering it onto the screen, onto what's returned in the service. So that is how you might be able to explore the source code with some of those payloads you might be able to track down on Hacktricks. And again, you could do some basic blind discovery, like say, hey, can you call back to a service that you are hosting, which is what we're going to have to do if we want to get a shell. And okay, you could actually just see, oh, can we retrieve other sensitive things like a document cookie or other pages that you might be able to read locally, just as a proof of concept to see, can you call back out to yourself blindly? We kind of got around that using the sleep command, and that was nice and easy for us. But again, there is a whole lot of good resources here to see, oh, can we read local files like we just kind of did, exploring, etc. that at least showed us the source code to this application, but we didn't have arbitrary file read like specifying any absolute path that we might like. Anyway, let's get to the good stuff. Let's see if we can get a reverse shell. I'm going to go to revshells.com so we can go ahead and spit together a simple bash script. I do like the one that they give us right away. However, I know normally you want bash to invoke this. Personally, that's how I like to do it, and I like to wrap it in another bash command because it needs to be within bash to be able to do that. Trust me, bear with me. Those are just some good tricks to know. I always try to extend this syntax a little bit more. Anyway, let's go ahead and get a Netcat Listener. I'll go ahead and listen on quad 9, and let's see if I can use an ngrok tunnel thing here. I will use ngrok TCP quad 9. This way I'm going to be spitting this out onto the interwebs, and I do have this host and port ready and waiting for me here. So what I'll do is go ahead and pass this in to the revshell or revshells.com generator, grab the port just as well, paste that in, and now we have that syntax. So fingers crossed, if I go ahead and move this to the other side of the screen, if I go ahead and go back to our syntax here, we know that we want to use the special payload that Sneak is willingly giving to us as our RCE. And I'll grab this here. I am noting that this N, I'm assuming, is supposed to be a \n. I think that's a typo. But then when we pass this here, what I'm going to do is change the command to run with exec_sync into this callback. Now, I could try this on its own, and I guess let's do it. Let's see. I'm going to keep this in my clipboard and just run, and hopefully it comes through. But that did not like that. Okay. Maybe that errored. Let's try to use bash rather than sh. Hit submit on that. Still doesn't like it. Okay, let's try to use bash tac-c, even as a prefix before that. Let's see if this works. Bad MD code aborting. If I wrap that in another single quote, keeping the internal command, right, that bash would want to run inside of a subshell within single quotes. Let's see if this comes together for me. Hit submit. Oh, there it is. You see that? Heck yeah. Look at that. Okay, so we have a callback. We are dub data. And bash has no job control, whatever. So if I try to hit Control L, it won't really let me. I am in bash, right? If I were to echo the shell environment variable, am I running bash? I mean, I ran bash. Hello? I don't like that. Let me go ahead and export term equals x term, and let's see if now I can Control L. No, it probably needs like the stt raw minus echo shenanigans, but because I'm in Z shell, it probably won't play nicely, so let me just not bother with that. But those are normally the techniques you might end up using to go ahead and, you know, stabilize your shell in a raw remote shell. You could do the same thing with PwnCat or whatever you might end up using to have a nice pretty shell, but we can just type in clear rather than hitting Control L to try and clear our screen. So let's run the ls command and let's see what we've got here. And we have access to all of the files and the file system itself, right? Because we are on the box in this case. But what we are looking for is the flag. Let's go ahead and check out the root directory /flag. There we go. I just hit ls/, and there is our flag.txt present there. So all we really need to do here is go ahead and cat/flag.txt. And there we go. Here is our flag. CTF PDFs continue to suck. Super cool, super fun. That's all that this really was. Honestly, Sneak is what saved the day here. I do love the fact that they cover a whole lot of the details for a lot of different vulnerabilities in their vulnerability database. And I also appreciate they're willing to showcase some proof of concept code and get a little bit more of an understanding of what is going on here. In this case, it's a matter of just that library. It's MD to PDF, Markdown to PDF. Vulnerable version here is, hey, okay, it uses gray matter, I suppose, to try and parse what is passed to it, but it doesn't disable the JavaScript engine. And with that, you are able to go ahead and execute code. So, boom, that's that. Let's go ahead and submit this and get our points. Excellent. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. I realized, hey, kind of a little quick, fun, a little in the moment tap dancing to go see if we can learn and go figure out something on the fly. Again, I hope this kind of worked well with our Sneak sponsor. So again, huge thanks to them, helping support the channel, helping support everything that I do and what we do here together in this channel and community. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do with this YouTube algorithm things, like, comment, subscribe, etc. You know where to find me, and please give some love to Sneak on your way out. Link in the description. Thanks so much, everybody. I'll see you in the next video.